think that's what Jeremy said.
I think so.
What?
I think he had a steer and a heifer, so. But I'm pretty sure the mini was a steer.
Yeah, the menu.
Well, the left one is a steer.
Yeah, the left one's a steer. Right. Both do.
I swore when they weighed them that when you were in there, I swore one was a heifer, but those are both steers.
I thought one was too. Where's he at? That's the question. Tag on it. I mean, he did have the red Angus heifer.
Yeah, he does have that one.
Fine.
Where's he listed?
I already lose my place.
How much egg do you guys have?
That's a good question.
It doesn't matter to me. I have no other plans. Just out of curiosity.
I don't even see his name here. Right here. Nope, that's a joke too. I'll just write it in.
Yeah, you might as well.
You gonna be the same one then?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And then was the home race steer. Was that the one he added?
Yeah, the home raised, they added one of the Shaw kids. It was the girl, Madeline.
The
Steer.
steer, it was a 1,400 pounds, so it's gonna be
So
after this.
we're gonna split it.
So we're gonna just split here.
So she'll be at the bottom, Madeline will be at the very
She'll be
bottom.
at the bottom, so it'll be three.
And then
It'll
there'll
be two, three.
Yeah.
Flats.
That way they're against someone in opposite.
The two bigger weights.
Okay.
Those two. Yep.
Is there anyone else?
That was all that I know of.
I think
That was all that I knew that we were talking about.
that's something different. And then the home race. Like in first class market, because they're doing all the market heifers like first.
Right. We're gonna do.
First, then
Market
home
heifer.
race,
And
market
then we're
heifer.
gonna put home raised market heifer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's got a hole in the back of my shirt. Did not know that was there when I left. Apologize in advance for everybody who didn't see it.
Oh
No,
no.
you can't tell.
I just gotta pull it down. We got 1 second. That sucks. This is one of my favorite shirts.
I hate when that happens.
Sit her down. Ladies out, I'll take her. Then you can go eat. Or go find her in person.
I was just.
I did one yesterday. Carroll County. Yep. Coon Rabbit. Some of you guys can talk. Yeah, normally a week later.
Same.
Past couple of years, we've been.
Yeah.
Really?
A couple years ago, we were.
On Adam. I don't know if it was Austin, and I can't remember. Jeremy? Brad. I'm sorry. Austin and Brad. I'll find it. How do you guys work over there? Rail over here. Next.
talk to them?
Yes, yeah.
So are we adding them too?
So they're the ones that add. They're adding the home race.
So we need to have a heifer.
It's right. It's just behind the steer. Wrong market heifer. It's right on the program. It's just in the wrong spot. So.
Y'all are confusing me.
Right here.
So we have new shot for market heifer. And then we're going to move up to home raised market heifers.
Yeah,
Second class.
that's a purchase heifer, and then we're going to home raised market heifers next.
Yes.
And it's back here behind.
Yep. We can discuss that.
Okay. So I'm saying the class is right. It's just.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Do they think they need to be in both classes? Well, I think they thought that.
No, Shannon was confused.
Okay.
He thought he was in both classes. I explained you're in one or the other, so
Okay.
he's got it.
Good.
Yep.
We're good then.
Yeah. No, we're fighting against that. Can't be in all of them.
Are you sure?
Are you ready? This over here.
Basically. Do you have your correct exhibitors to get started? Yep.
I'm sorry.
My pen.
I'm just
We
a
have another pen?
pain in
No.
the ass. I can go get one out of the office. You got enough?
I don't have enough.
Okay.
Thank
Take that
you.
one.
Bring a couple, please. Grand champion barking steer. Yeah, I'm confused right now. Overall, that's not steer. Grand reserve home raised market. We only have heifer, so I'm sure what you need to be able to use these classes. Grand reserve breeding.
I've always been a little bit of an overachiever.
Good job.
You ready?
So when yours stops working,
Oh, we start with steers?
Nope.
heifer. Just don't give them a program and we'll be good.
Okay. Good. Yep. And we're gonna go in.
Yep.
So you show your market heifer, you'll show between your home raise and your purchase for champion. Your heifer come back in for your supreme market heifer.
No, we've been doing it that way. We're on the board whether we think that's
Test, test.
No, that's the way we've been doing it. So that's what we're gonna do. We know what. Never know.
Never know. I've seen some wild shit.
Good morning and welcome to the 2023 Beef Show at the Fremont County Fair. Welcome our judge today, Adam Darrington. You guys just tell me when you are ready. You got the easy job, right? Maybe? market heifers purchased. There's only one. Yeah. We're going to start the morning off with our purchased market heifer class with one entry by Duke Scott. Purchased market heifer. Well, it's just whatever's not in her home raised.
Everyone else is home raised or market.
I think we only have like 2 other ones though.
She has socks on. Hey Frank, will you pop this into a plug out, please?
Yes.
Or Lily. Or who?
That's why.
Oh, that's a lot.
You should. Here, Lily. Need this for this class. For this class? Oh. There's commercial market heifer.
I'd say I'm done. Grand champ, I'm out. See you later.
Should say junior, right?
No, this is intermediate. It says junior. So now our home raised is wrong, so I'll have to add that to my list for Jody to get.
Yes,
Just go.
Cordless or do I gotta stand over here?
Well, it's wireless.
Cool.
But I'll just need it back when you're done.
I need both of them.
Yep. One's for the radio, one's for here.
Radio. We're live on the air. We're live on the air. Good morning, everybody. A beautiful day here in Sydney. Excited to have the opportunity to work through the cattle with your 4-H and FFA kids. And I know it's July in Iowa, so things can get a little hot later in the day. And we'll do our best to work through the cattle in a timely and efficient manner. I also understand there's a lot of kids that have worked for this day all year, so I want to give them the time that they deserve. If we take a little longer in a couple classes, I'll apologize in advance. Nice single entry here in our market heifer division to get things started. Young man's got a tall-shouldered calf that's clean in her throat latch. Really like the way she gets around the ring and the way she's designing her skeleton. Female that handles really well when we get our hands on the cattle for her size. If we could change that one a little bit, I think she could balance up a little better from the profile. She's a notch deeper in her chest floor, one that could use a shot more size to her rear foot. Go ahead and give that young man a nice round of applause.
And our grand champion commercial market heifer goes to Duke Scott. And flip the program. Yeah. What?
Timely, efficient man.
Oh, we've already had this conversation. So it should be Lindsay, Wyatt, and Duke. Next up, we will be skipping to our home-raised market heifer class. We have entries by Lindsay, Wyatt Smith, and Duke Scott.
It's gonna be a goat.
Goat, lamb, cow, all of the above.
Pig. We can supply the pig. I'll sponsor her to show a pig. In fact, I have a piglet right now.
There you go. Save it.
Like, as soon as that girl walks, she can show
It's a rescue piglet. My neighbor had it at his house. Like, they just found it. Like, it was in his yard, so we assumed it was ours. But, like, we didn't know where it came from, so it's my rescue piglet. I just have it in the little corral at home.
There you go.
just in case. That's a good question. That's a great game.
Have those
Always.
And I want to thank you for your champion prospect.
Has anyone ever shown a dairy cow?
Did you ever read your dairy? She used to.
Not-
You sold them.
Not recent. I guess I don't know. But according to what I have,
I've never seen
me
it.
neither.
And then I need
I think-
you have a
It would
When I was
be a lot of work.
I know. When I was about Kate's age, I begged Dad for a dairy cow. It was like, Dad, we need a dairy cow. Please, Dad. There's only 2 inches. Are we doing? Oh, there's 3. We're doing the reserve too. What? Are they getting a banner after? Maybe. Okay.
I added it to the big late list.
Where's your companion? Or
Yeah,
added to it?
I don't know where it is.
So we have
Not that I.
Not because this is overall market beef.
Not that
I know. And Maddie.
I. Maddie, right.
I really know that. But
junior cow.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't think she stopped moving yesterday.
Saw her on my phone.
All right.
Because I'm nervous. I said, don't be nervous. I walked by her today. Don't think.
Yeah.
You can't, once you think about it, you just got it. I said, "Can you play?" I said, "Did they live up here?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. Just go out there and just, you can't. Because once you
Right.
get nervous, once
Yeah.
you get nervous, then they get in, then it's all open mind. It's like life. You just gotta roll with it.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Can you reach them there, sweetheart?
Yeah, I can reach that. Okay. Can you also set my coffee right there?
Yeah.
please?
No.
I need all my emergency
Yeah,
things.
it's
No, my coffee's a little cup. That's, yeah. I don't need my phone. But,
She's working. She's on the clock.
yeah.
Putting it in the area.
Okay. Hey, the 2 most important things are the ribbons and my coffee. Not necessarily in that order.
You go ahead. Hey, buddy. Go ahead and pull her out right over here. A nice class of market heifers here. I think there's one that sorts herself at the top rather quickly for me. I view her as the combination between her contemporaries. Young man silver heifer that leads off. I like her frame and her extension, long and strong in her top line and her hip. She's a female that's built good enough in terms of her skeleton, but where she really separated herself from the other 2 is when I got my hands on them. She carries more shape out of the backside of her shoulder. She's more appropriate in her finish over 12th and 13th. From the side, I think she's also got advantage over the heifer in second, just in terms of her balance. And when the young man gets her parked, the picture she paints from the side. It's not to take anything away from the young man's black heifer here that comes out in second. I like this one in terms of following our leader's suit in terms of her length and extension, her growth curve and maturity pattern. I think she's a notch flatter behind her shoulder, just narrower in terms of her genuine width, but again, a really nice project. The young lady's calf in third here. This one is where the conversation came in my mind. She's square out of the backside of her shoulder. She's more genuine in terms of her width. I just question this one a little bit from a maturity standpoint. She gets a notch quick there for me. I like to change the shape of her head, make her a notch smoother at the point of her shoulder. A real nice class. Let's go ahead and give all 3 of those kids a nice round of applause.
Our grand champion home raised market heifer goes to Wyatt Smith and
champion of Market Heifer. Because we have a commercial and then home raised.
Is that what we said yesterday? Yes, we did. We're gonna go to Market Steer. Soul Ring. And now they're doing it
You know, I wouldn't
completely
turn it down.
wrong.
I mean, no rush. Whatever.
Okay.
Yeah. Looking great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Got a little scratchy throat, so
No, you're good.
been on a run for a couple of weeks.
just a purple.
Yeah.
I am gonna start asking them who comes up to the mic.
Jesse, I'm gonna.
I can take her.
You want it? What's the issue? You're fine. No.
Hold that one.
Ask him how he wanted.
No, just make a cup of coffee.
I would not say sheep are clean, gentle, and easy to handle. Easy. What?
The radio mic is live.
Oh.
Apparently then.
Sheep are not easy to handle.
Coming out.
Not yet. I gotta talk to her.
Okay.
Unless you don't want me to. This is the champion. Market.
Okay.
Yes. But I will do a better job of telling you who colors. You could have given first class. That's already too late. Get back out here for our champion drive between our purchase division and our home raised division. You know, I think for me, I'll talk about each one of them just briefly. The young man silver heifer out of the heavier or the home raised class. I think a female that's 12 o'clock in terms of her condition and her muscle shape. A female that balances well from the side, and I like her skeleton. And the young man's calf there out of the first class. You know, we talked about that one being tall shouldered and strong on her top line. And I like the way her skeleton was made. I think she gets a little bit flatter in the way that she's designed. She's a notch narrower in her chest floor. We'll go ahead and use the young man's silver calf out of the second class for your champion. Young man out of the first class will be reserved. Congratulations to all our market heifer exhibitors. Nice job, buddy. Congratulations, young man. Good work.
Yeah. Thank you. Store.
It's gonna get run over. I feel like this is a dangerous spot for me to see. It'll be okay. At least I catch him as they walk by. I don't have to go chasing down.
Just got me, so it's me. Steven. Yeah, anytime. Yeah, literally just made that.
Up next, we have our first class of market steers.
Are they ready?
In this class, we have entries from Nora Martins, Abby Malcolm, Hadley Riley, Lila Brooks, and Abby Martin.
What class is this?
Marcus, your class number 2, because they.
Yeah, she's next.
Well, a really interesting class of steers here, and I think a top pair that merits some conversation. We'll go ahead and bring the young ladies' calf here out to that I start with. You know, I think this guy, he come in the ring and hit me pretty hard from a quality standpoint. When she gets him parked, this thing paints an awesome picture from the side. He's super balanced in his proportions. Everything fits on him. The one thing I do say about this guy is I think he's a little quicker in his maturity pattern. I think he's a calf that we could make him just a nickel smoother at the point of his shoulder, and a calf that we could give him just a notch more coordination out of his hip and hind leg. But again, one you have to appreciate for just his genuine width, his sheer muscle out of the backside of his shoulder, and his pin width, a really, really high quality calf to start with. The young man's calf here in second, you know, I think he's got some class advantages, right? This one's taller shouldered. I think he's fresher on the top side of his neck. I like his length and extension and his growth curve a notch better than our class winner. For me, he wasn't enough of a structural upgrade, in my opinion, to get around our class winner. I still think this one needs fixed in the angle to his shoulder and his knee, and he could use his hock and pasture with a notch more coordination. But again, a really nice top pair there. We get into a couple cattle here further down the line. The young lady's Brockle calf that comes third. I like this calf for his practical fat steer look. Calf that, again, you know, tall shouldered, like his length and extension like the one in second. I was pretty impressed with this guy when I got my hands on him. He's giving the young lady some fits here. I'll try to be a little quieter. I was really impressed with this guy when I got my hands on him. He's got quite a bit of shape in his top line, a calf that handles really well over his 12th and 13th, but where he separated himself from the one in fourth is, I think this one's more appropriate in the angle to his shoulder. I think he's more flexible as the cattle had pulled the lead. The young lady's calf in fourth, I like this guy from the profile. Really balanced in his underline, long and level hipped, and I appreciate how strong he is in his top. For me, I think this one, again, needs fixed off both ends of his skeleton. He's a notch too forward in the angle to his shoulder and knee, and off his rear end, he needs a notch more foot size to allow him to be more flexible. The young lady's calf that rounds out the class, that's not to take anything away from him. I think he's got some advantages over the calf ahead of him. He's got more rear foot. I think he uses his hock better, and he's squarer at the ground. This one's the lightest muscled calf in class, and I think he's the farthest from his end point. But again, a really, really nice project. Congratulations to all those kids.
2 purples and 3 blues. Should have told her that. I gotta get better about that.
First place in the class goes to Lila Brooks, and second goes to Hadley Riley.
Or do you? I haven't been, but.
We had a purple ribbon for Abby Martin, blue ribbon for Abby Malcolm, and a blue ribbon for Nora Martin.
Our second class of market steers, we have entries from Kiana Haggerty, Macy Slater, Lila Brooks, and Dylan Brooks.
through the middle of your leg.
Class 1, class 2. Class 3 today.
Class 3.
Yep. There you go. Show them that.
It's me. I like when they do this.
I don't care. I don't care. Oh, no. We're building up our immune system for that. There you go. I started load yesterday morning, so I filled it last night.
I don't know. You know, they only start like 10 minutes. Oh. Todd got it. No, you can't bathe it. Can't bathe it.
All right, let's do.
Before you go to the top.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Where's the button?
On the bottom there. Of
Cool.
this.
Awesome. That's good. Thank you. Bottom of which one? This one? We live. No. It's green. Technology challenges, folks. For a 32-year-old, I'm not very good with it. Real high quality class, a second class of steers here, and I think there's a top pair that honestly, in my opinion, just needs to go this way. I think the one in second has some advantages, but the young lady's gold calf hit me pretty hard when he came in. This one's not only practical in the way that his skeleton's built, but he's really square out of the backside of his shoulder. He's 12 o'clock in terms of his finish, super square to the edge of his loin. Appreciate how square this guy is in his build. The way he flexes and uses all his joints, I think, is what truly separates him from the rest of the class. If we're going to pick on him a little bit, I think he could attach his neck just a little bit higher out of the top side of his shoulder. I think he'd be a notch fresher in the way that he is there as well. But again, a really high quality, square built calf to lead off with. The young lady, the quality doesn't fall off any in second here. The young lady's chromed up calf, I think, is probably my personal favorite from the profile. When she gets this thing parked, he's super high attaching out of the top side of his shoulder on his front end. Calf that is balanced, everything fits on him. His foot and bone matches his power. Where I get a little leery of this guy is just in the way he gets around the ring. I think he's a notch forward in the angle to his shoulder and knee, and he needs to have a notch more flex off his hock and pastern. But love his look from the side. She's done an excellent job getting him ready today. My congratulations to both those kids. The bottom pair here offers some more discussion, and I think the young man's calf we use third. I appreciate this guy more in terms of his market animal ability, as he's got more muscle out of the backside of his shoulder. He's square in his build, and he's a calf that's just got more genuine width from wherever we look at him. This guy needs redesigned in his shoulder. He's really bold there at the point of it, and consequently gets extra flat when we get into his forerib. If we could fix him there, I think he might give our top two in the class a little bit more run for their money. The young ladies calf that rounds out the class. Again, appreciate this one's practicality. I like his growth curve and his extension. Really tall-shouldered, well-built calf. I think he's the flattest one right in behind his shoulder. I think he's the narrowest over his loin, and a calf that could just use more genuine width. But again, a really, really nice class. Let's go ahead and give all 4 of those kids a nice round of applause.
You're good. We have a purple in the class going to Lila Brooks and Kiana Haggerty, and a blue going to Dylan Brooks and Macy Slater. Just 2? Okay, I was pretty sure. Our final class of market steers, we have an entry from Dylan Brooks and Quinn Malcolm.
Program.
If it's completely wrong, yeah. So next we will pick over all of the markets here.
Why did Madeline strike?
We switched to the grades.
Okay, I'm not.
Why don't you just pull him right here, young lady? Oh, wait. We go out that way. My bad. Another nice class of steers, and I think, again, another conversation between a nice top pair. I think both these calves offer some class advantages for me. I'm more partial to the young ladies' white-footed steers kind. Taller shouldered calf. I like his length and his extension. I think he's smoother at the point of his shoulder, and if you call these two both good enough in terms of muscle, I think he's the place you need to start. He's one that we could probably give just a notch more flex and reach to off both ends of his skeleton. He's one that could balance just a little bit better as an individual, but I think, again, a really nice place to start there. The young man's calf that comes in second here, I think this guy's class advantage is just his sheer power, right? Calf's huge-footed, heavy-structured, really square out of the backside of his shoulder. I think he's one that could probably use just a notch more finish for his size. He's a little bare over his 12th and 13th, but my bigger issue with this guy is I think he's a notch quicker in his maturity. I'd like him to make him a little smoother at the point of his shoulder. Again, a really nice class. Let's go ahead and give both those kids a nice round of applause.
Good job, bud.
We have purple. We have purples in the class going to Quinn Malcolm and Dylan Brooks.
She's ate worse things, it's okay.
Have at it.
Breeding beef. Overall market.
We want to thank Agrland FS for providing breakfast this morning.
Well, nice drive of steers here to round out our purchase steer division. I'll talk about each one of them real briefly just to kind of let you know where my head's at. The young lady's black calf out of our first class, talked about that guy in class, just how powerful he was, big-footed, heavy-structured, super aggressive in the turn to his shape up high. He's one that's built with just a ton of genuine width. With that added power, I think he comes with a few more issues. He's a notch coarser at the point of his shoulder, and he wants to get splayed out a little up front. He's a calf that could be just a nickel square in terms of his hock, and one that wants to, consequently, he sets down on the outside of his hoof wall. But again, I like his quality, I really like his balance, and a calf that's just built with a ton of power. The young lady's yellow calf here out of the second class, I talked about that guy's balance and look from the side. Again, I think his skeleton might be a little better than the one ahead of him. I think he reads with a little more slope to his shoulder, and I certainly like the way that his hock's designed better. I don't think he's as aggressive in the shape of his muscle up high. I don't know if he's built with just as much genuine width, but I like his balance and I like his skeleton. The young lady's white socked calf here out of the last class, we talked about just being a good practical fat steer. Tall shouldered, long and extended. Really like his growth curve and maturity pattern in comparison to some of the other cattle out here. He maybe doesn't come with as many extras or as many fancy things as the two cattle ahead of him. He doesn't balance quite as well, and he could be just a nickel. He could have just a nickel more angle to his shoulder, but again, a really nice steer there to round out that class. Let's go ahead and give our market steer exhibitors a round of applause, and I'll go show you the two that I like. Bring that black and white calf was second in that class in, and I think he warrants some discussion. I remember that calf just for how good he was from the profile. Is he coming? I'll give her a minute.
No.
It wasn't the same kid.
No. But I like this one as a cowboy. This one would make a pretty rug.
I bring the young lady's chrome dove calf here that was second in that class back, and like I was saying, I remember this guy in class. We talked about how attractive he was from the profile. I think he's probably one of the best we've seen there all day. Really long and extended up front. Super high attaching out of the top side of his shoulder. I think his foot and bone and proportions and everything matches on him. I got a little hard on this guy in class, and I still feel that way. He's one that needs to be redesigned just a little bit in terms of his skeleton. Calf that's rocked just a shot too far forward in his knee, and a calf that could use a little more flex off the other end of his skeleton. He's my second favorite in terms of type and kind. We'll go ahead and use him reserve. Congratulations. Okay, so the same girl won the first and second class. And that's the same girl.
Did you pick the black or the black and white?
The black and white one for reserve.
Black and white for reserve.
Yeah, but the girl that had the yellow steer. Never mind, I got it. We're good.
Okay.
I asked dumb questions.
Our grand champion commercial market steer goes to Lila Brooks, and the banner is sponsored by Holt Gas. And our reserve champion goes to Kiana Haggerty, and her banner is sponsored by Grudel Farms.
Coincidental.
I know. Now we're on home raised market steer.
Next, we have our first class of home-raised market steer. We have an entry from Noah Howe and Blake Schaff.
sure that that split is where I thought it was. So we got 2 in the next class and then 3. I'm just making sure.
I love Noah. He just got pretty. He's so used to pigs. Like, mom always go just like walk up and shake their hand like first thing. Like when they come up to the top.
Paper towel or anything, maybe? That'd be perfect. Yeah. Just one's fine. Should have asked for it earlier. My hand's getting oily.
This snag on my list. I love that tradition though with cattle shows, like hitting the cow that wins. I think that's so cute. Yeah. And dress up as Macy.
How many classes of home raised calves are there?
There will be 2 in this class, 2 in the next, 3 in the last.
Perfect.
Ribbon colors. First.
We'll go ahead.
Nice class of lightweight home-raised steers here. I commend your fair board and your youth committee for putting together a division like this. I think it's something that's a unique way to get kids involved in the cattle industry and get them to start their own herds at home. For me, the logical place to start here, the young man's yellow Pinschauer colored calf. I think this one comes to us with quite a bit of quality. When a young man gets him parked, I think he balances and paints a really good picture from the profile. His foot and bone matches his power. You know, he's calf that if we're going to get hard on him, I think could be laid in just a notch neater at the point of his shoulder. He could be a little bolder there in his forerib, and he's one that we could make just a shot longer and leveler out of his hip. But again, a really high quality calf to start off with. That's not to take anything away from the young man's black calf here that comes out second. I think, again, a good practical fat steer. He's just a little farther from his end point. Calf that needs some more days on feed. He's a notch more leaner to the touch. As an individual, I think he could be built with just a little more genuine width, but tall-shouldered, like his head and neck and how it comes out up there, and a calf that's really strong in his top line, square in his build as well. Let's go ahead and give both those kids a nice round of applause.
We have a purple in the class going to Blake Schaff and a blue going to Noah Howe. For our second class of home-raised market steers, we have Madeline Travis and Quinn Malcolm.
good built cattle that are good in terms of their feet and legs. I think the young lady's white nose calf I like to lead off. Just comes with a few more extras. I think he's one that balances better from the profile. And to be honest with you, I was really impressed with this guy when I got my hands on him. Really appropriate in terms of his finish over his 12th and 13th. He's actually got more shape up high than what he views from the outside. A really, really nice place to start there. The young lady's calf in second. The Baldy steer here, it's hard to get around a good Baldy. And I think this guy, he's bigger footed at the ground. I think he's heavier structured. I think he's longer up front. This guy I think is just a little farther from his end point. Steer that's a notch bearer over his 12th and 13th. And I don't know if he's built with just as much genuine width as our class winner, but again, a heavy structured calf to come in second. Let's go ahead and give both those young ladies a nice round of applause.
Madeline Travis. For our final class of home-raised market steers, we have entries from Jaden Schaff, Duke Scott, and Madeline Schaff.
Yeah. Yep. Just go ahead and have him circle around that way and come back out right here facing me, not the first one. Yep. Just pull your calf right here, buddy. a nice class, the heaviest class of home raised steers, I guess, if you will. And I think there's a good amount of quality here at the top. My congratulations to both those exhibitors for attempting to raise some show steers at home, because it's not an easy thing to do. The young man's calf we lead off with here, I like this guy from the profile. He's a notch moderate in terms of his frame. He could be cleaned up just a nickel in terms of his chest floor, and I think he's a little coarser about his joints, but to be honest with you, I think some of that's just underneath the hair and the adhesive we've got on him today. If we could peel some of that off a little bit, I think he's actually pretty good in terms of his skeleton. A calf that reads with the right amount of angle to his shoulder, and the way he uses his hock and pasture, and I think is actually acceptable. From there, it took me a minute to get my hands on him, but I'm glad I did and was a little patient with him, because that calf handles really, really well for his size. He's not too soft to the touch. He's really square to his edges. A calf that's really appropriate over his 12th and 13th. But beyond that, a high-quality, well-balanced show steer there to start off with. The young lady's calf in second, this is where the conversation came into my mind. This one's longer and more extended in his growth curve and his maturity pattern. He's taller at the point of his shoulder. I don't know if he balances up quite as good from the side. He's a calf that's a notch deeper in his chest in relation to his flank. And a calf that's definitely leaner to the touch. I think he's a little farther from his end point. Beyond that, I just had a tough time calling him a structural upgrade. I think he's got some issues there as well in terms of the way his skeleton's designed, but a really high-quality individual, and I appreciate the way she presented him today. The young man's calf that rounds out the class here, just a good practical fat steer like we've talked in some of our earlier classes. Soft through the center portion of his rib cage, really appropriate in the way that the young man's fed him and his finish there over his 12th and 13th. I like his growth curve and his maturity pattern, especially compared to our class winner. I just think he gets out-horsed here today. He's one that doesn't come with as many extras and fancy things, but again, a really good practical fat steer. Let's go ahead and give all three of those kids a nice round of applause.
We had purple ribbons going to Jaden Schaff, Madeline Schaff, and a blue that went to Duke Scott. Coming in for overall home-raised market steer, we have Blake Schaff, Quinn Malcolm, and Jaden Schaff.
A lot of quality here in our drive for our home raised steer division, and I'll go ahead and briefly talk about each one of them real quick. Like we have the other divisions, just to let you know where my head's at. The young man's yellow Pinskauer Marks calf here out of the first class. I talked that calf in class for his quality and how square he was in his build. I like his length and his extension, his maturity pattern. When a young man gets him parked, I think as an individual, he balances up just fine on the profile. His color pattern can kind of take away from that a little bit, and I think it actually makes him appear a little bit rounder out of his hip. But again, just a really nice individual. He's probably a little farther from his end point than the two cattle behind him. I think he's leaner to the touch, and not as he's a little more bare over his 12th and 13th. But again, a nice individual there out of our first class. The young lady's white nose calf out of the second class. With this guy, just practical fat steer look, square in his build, close to his end point. She's done an excellent job preparing him for today. I don't know if he's as fancy and got some of the extras some of their cattle around him do. He's a notch frailer in his foot and bone work, and a calf that maybe isn't as attractive up through his front 1/3, but again, a good practical fat steer. We got down to the young man's calf here out of the last class, and I talked about this calf for his power and his balance, and I still like those things about him. Calf that, if you guys remember, I talked to him for how he handled, really, really close to his end point, has good shape up high to his muscle, and he carries that width all the way to the ground. Where I get hard on this guy, again, just in terms of his maturity pattern, he gets a nickel quick for me, and I think he's a notch coarser in his joints than what would be ideal, but a really, really good balanced calf from the profile. It's got a ton of power. Let's go ahead and give all your home-raised exhibitors a nice round of applause. I'll go show you the two that I like. Nice job, buddy. Congratulations. Yeah. Bring the young lady's black steer here in for contention. That was second in class, and I thought in class he had some advantages over our winner, just in the fact that he was really tall-shouldered and long and extended. Thought he was smoother at the point of his shoulder and still a high-quality calf. I'll let her get in here. Again, I think he's one that's just a notch harsher through the center portion of his rib cage, and he's one that I think could still be fixed up front in terms of the angle to his shoulder. We'll go ahead and use the young man's yellow calf up here for reserve. Congratulations.
Our grand champion home-raised market steer goes to Jaden Schaff, and the banner was sponsored by the Mildred Doyle family. And our reserve champion goes to Blake Schaff, and the banner was sponsored by the Schaff Brothers Farm.
I know I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. I know the quantity hasn't been the highest, but I think the quality has been really, really good today. I think that's relevant here as we talk about our champion steer drive between our home-raised and our crossbred steer there out of the first class. My hat's off to all of you. I think an excellent steer show here today. Real quick here, just the young ladies, a gold calf. I think one that's really, really complete, really square. Like how practical he is in his build, and I like his growth curve and his maturity pattern. You know, like we talked, he's not the stoutest thing we've seen all day. He's not the, the widest in his chest floor, the widest of the ground, but I think he's more than good enough in that regard. The young man's black steer that came out of the home raised division, you got some good things going on at home, buddy, if you can raise quality like this. This thing's huge-footed, heavy-structured, really, really stout and powerful, and like I talked, his handle quality is excellent. I still question him a little bit in terms of maturity pattern. I think he's a notch shorter there at the point of his shoulder and shorter in his cannon bone. Calf to be cleaned up just a nickel in his chest floor, but again, a pair of really high-quality steers, and I'll talk these two real quick as well. The young lady's chromed-up calf, one that I love this guy from the profile. I like how attractive he is about his head and neck and how square he is at the ground. He's a calf that needs to be fixed off both ends of his skeleton. And the young man's gold calf there that was reserved in the home raised division, again, just another practical steer. I think he probably follows our crossbred steer in that type and kind, just in terms of his rib shape and how he turns his muscle down the top side of his skeleton. He doesn't come with as many extras as some of the other calves. I think he's a notch plainer in that regard. But let's go ahead and give all your steer exhibitors a nice round of applause, and I'll go get you a champion in reserve.
Actually, we're going to do showmanship, then heifers.
Market, I thought they said something about the market heifer came back in.
Yeah, I know, it should have been in there. You go talk to Adam. We had this whole conversation yesterday, and I said heifer and steer needs to be in. So what are we doing now then?
Well, we've gotten to the point in the day where I think everybody knows which one I'm partial to, and that's okay, because I think the young lady's gold calf there, that's your champion steer, is really good and really unique. Let's go ahead and give her a nice round of applause for an excellent day.
Go for it. Go for it.
Hey, what was that for? Jesse, what was that for? What was that?
Don't know.
No idea. Oh, okay.
Don't know.
I don't know. Is that overall champion market beef?
What's the class for it?
Champion relationship.
Let's now go buy muffins. Yesterday we had a Clover Kid muffin mix-off. If you're feeling a little hungry, there are 6 packs of muffins available for sale in the McElroy building. Showmanship class, we will have entries from Blake Schaff, Lila Brooks, Kendra Lawman, Noah Howe, Hadley Riley, and Cooper Avey in this first class.
Hey, do we have a pitchfork back there by chance? And a pen that we can borrow? Let's grab one.
Use the two young people up here at the front to come back for contention of our champion drive. Before you just stay there real quick and I'll come around and give you some pointers. One thing I tell you, try to get a little less lead rope for when we're in the show ring, all right? Because it's all rolled up in your hand and just kind of gets in the way.
Yep.
The other thing I tell you, try to stand with your feet together and stand out in front of the cap, all right? All right, buddy, one thing I tell you, I like the show halter, just get some vet wrap or something on there so you can keep a hold of his halter nose, all right? That's something that'll help you control his head a little better. I like the way you hold the halter and everything. Just slide this thing up a little bit, get some vet wrap on there so you can hold on to his nose all the way up here, right? The other thing I'd tell you is try to take up a little less space with your body. Your feet are too far apart and you need to stand a little more square with the calf, all right? Doing a good job, buddy. One thing I tell you, just try to get some vet wrap on there so you can get a hold of that chain all the way up by his nose, all right? This thing right here, make sure you got that all the way up there for him. He's fighting you a little bit, you know, but you're doing a good job. Just try to work on your transition when you're moving from leading him to setting him up, okay? No, I don't think so. Because there's another class.
Lila, just go and wait on the other end because you'll come back in after the next class. You aren't allowed to bring them into the. Yeah, you can't bring those to the rule. It's the dumbest rule ever. It's for scraping, but half the people that own the together, and they are always together in every other county. Yeah, there's literally every county I've ever been to. So we're the only one who does it. Yeah, and it's because of scraping. I thought that whole business have it. So. It's because sheep and goats know that sheep is chewing on a wire. Hopefully it's zip tie. It's zip tie. It's like, is that a wire? We're gonna have fried sheep for dinner tonight.
There it is. Found it. All right, let's do. Well, another real nice class of senior showmen. Again, I won't say too much till we get back into our final drive. Go ahead and use the two young ladies here to come back in no particular order. Again, you two can go ahead and exit. The rest of you, I'll come by and just give you a few brief comments. The young lady down there at the end, my hat's off to you for keeping your chin up and sticking in the ring. That calf's giving you fits, and that happens sometimes. I promise it does. When you do this thing long enough, you're going to have one that just doesn't act good, and my hat's off to you for sticking with it. Try to work on that transition as you're handing your halter off to your stick, okay? Nice job. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. One thing I'd tell you, I'd try to find some vet wrap or something to wrap around here so you can get your hand up closer to her nose.
Okay.
And the other thing I'd tell you is try to stand more out in front of her nose and with your feet together. You want the judge to be able to see from the nose to his tail head, all right? Nice job. Same thing for you, buddy. One thing, I'd just get some vet wrap on here so you can hold up all the way up there by his nose.
Okay.
And the other thing I'd tell you, just try to stand out in front of the calf a little bit more with your feet together, take up less space. You're good. Don't worry about it. Good job. All right, just keep your head up, and you're gonna have that. That's all right. She's already calmed down and doing that. So she might be coming around or something. You're doing fine. Yep.
Yeah, nice job.
Overall senior beef showman, we have Blake Schaff, Lila Brooks, Macy Slater, and Nora Martin.
Really nice drive as senior showman, and again back to our classes and divisions. I I didn't bring these kids back in any particular order, just the 4 that I thought did the best job. And you know, I don't think showmanship should be a quiz bowl or a trivia. I don't like to ask questions. I just want to see kids that can come in and present their animal to the best of their ability. They're aware of their surroundings and where they're at in the ring. Their demeanor is calm and collected, and they don't attract attention to themselves. And I think all 4 of these individuals do an excellent job of that. So I do hope there's some young people around ringside paying attention, because there's 4 excellent showmen out here. There's a few things in particular I'd change about each and every one of them, but I do have a challenge for you 4, as well as the rest of the seniors that came through the ring here. You guys are the oldest kids back in the cattle barn and on the fairgrounds, so I challenge you to be someone to look up to for the younger kids, because there's a lot of them, and whether you realize it or not, they're paying attention to what you do and how you act. So there's my challenge for you guys for the rest of your fair and as you finish out your 4-H careers. Let's go ahead and give all our seniors a nice round of applause. I think there's 2 of them that suit me pretty well. Again, a really nice drive of seniors. Congratulations. Nice job. I gotta tell you, just try to narrow your feet up when you're transitioning from walking the captain to stand up and stand out in front of him. The only thing, get some better so you can hold on to his nose all the way up there, okay? Nice job.
Champion Senior Beef Showman goes to Macy Slater, and the award is sponsored by Brooks Family. And our reserve champion goes to Lila Brooks, and the buckle is sponsored by Monica Beeson. Now we have our intermediate beef showmanship class. We have entries from Brody Shaw, Elizabeth Covert, Alexis Lawman, Kiana Haggerty, Abby Malcolm, Joseph Roberts, and Quinn Malcolm.
More technical difficulties? Promise it's something I'm working on. Real nice drive, intermediate showman, and again, I think just like the seniors, like I talked about, their ability to come in and present their animal to the best of their ability, to not attract attention to themselves, to always be aware of where their animal's at, where everyone else is at, and where I'm at in the ring, I think is ultra important. I think there's some intensity differences out here between some kids, and again, just a really nice drive. I think there's a few subtle differences that sort there's one individual in my mind that I think kind of sorts themselves to the top, and there's another natural place to go for second. After that, I'll go through and give the rest of you guys some pointers, but let's go ahead and give our intermediate showman a nice round of applause. Congratulations, guys. I'll come around this way. Congratulations. Yep. One thing I want you to try to be aware of is how fast you're walking around the ring. Sometimes calf got a little excited. Nice job, young lady. Doing a really good job. Like how you hold the halter and how you got your calf set up. One thing I'd work on just when you transition from walking into setting it up. All right, try to practice that at home. Nice job. Nice job. One thing I'd tell you, try to be a little quieter with your movements. Sometimes I can tell you're a little bit nervous, right? And that intensity is a good thing, right? Because you're competitive, right? Yeah. You want to win. We all do. But sometimes just tone it down a little bit, because I'm trying to look at the calf, right? And if you make noise or something, that takes attention away from the calf. You're a damn good showman. I like everything you got going on here. Right? Nice job. One thing I tell you, just try to keep your hand flipped over when you're head to tail, right? And stand out in front of the calf a little bit more. Thank you.
Yeah. Our grand champion intermediate beef showman goes to Brody Schaff in the award Schaff Show Cattle. And our reserve champion intermediate beef showman goes to Abby Malcolm, and the buckle is sponsored by Eric Grudel. Next up, we have our junior beef showmanship class.
Those bottles are so confusing. I had a YouTube how to put it together.
In the class, we have Madeline Shaw, Dylan Brooks, Madeline Travis, Max Travis, Duke Scott, Hazley Riley, and Clara Haggerty.
I'm figuring the mic out, folks. We're making progress. What a class of junior showmen here. I think probably the deepest and the most competition I think we've had of all our showmanship classes. There really wasn't one that I thought was just flawless. I think there's 3 individuals, to be honest with you, that really kind of separated themselves in terms of their demeanor and their actions and their presentation skills, and I think all 3 of them do an excellent job. For me, I think there's a couple young people that maybe did a few subtle things differently, whether it was that they were paying attention to where they were at in the ring and didn't get themselves buried, that they always had their calf set up, and then again back to their demeanor and their actions and how they handled themselves, I think was exceptional. There's a couple young ladies down here that might be a heifer in heat, gave them some fits, so my hat's off to you guys for sticking with it and staying in there. Let's go ahead and give all our junior exhibitors a nice round of applause. I'm going to go ahead and select you champion in reserve, and again, these younger kids, I'm going to go through and give them a pointer, and from my opinion, my standpoint of something that I would do differently. So congratulations again to all our juniors. Nice job, buddy. Okay, one thing I want you to work on, all right? When you got your calf set up and you got him standing there, put your feet together like this. Don't be standing like this, all right? That'll help. You just look too big, all right? You'll be big someday, but right now, you want to take up as little space as possible, all right? Congratulations, buddy. Hey, you're a good showman, all right? I like your demeanor and how calm and collected you are. One thing I'd tell you, try to stand out here in front of the calf a little bit more, all right? You do a good job of it most of the time. Just try to stay focused where we're at in the ring, all right? Nice job. You kind of got buried there a couple times, right? You're doing a really good job setting your calf up and doing all those things. One thing I'd tell you, just try to be a little more aware of that as you're working around the ring and as you transition to set your calf up, all right? You do a good job, okay? Yep. Nice job, young lady. One thing I'd tell you here, try to get a hold of the calf's nose a little bit closer up there, all right? Your lead rope's too long, just cut that leather strap, all right? That way, if it hangs down too low, that way you can control his head a little better, her head a little better. Hey, buddy, one thing I'm going to tell you, try to get a hold of that calf's halter right up here next to her nose, okay? That'll help you control her head. That way she don't throw it around so much, all right? You do a nice job. Your calf kind of fought you there a little bit. One thing I'd tell you, too, though, be aware of your pace when you're walking around the ring, and I know you're trying to slow her down and she's fighting you a little bit, but as you go to set your calf up, just try to walk her into place, but work on that transition, all right, from one to the other, okay? Nice job.
Our grand champion junior beef showman goes to Jaden Schaff, and the award is sponsored by Burt Lorimore family. And our reserve champion goes to Dylan Brooks, and the award is sponsored by Monica Beeson.
Is this prospect house? Yes.
We do have grand and reserve list.
Yeah. Overall prospect for the band.
How's that sound? Well, an interesting class here of prospect 4-H calves, and I think, as we compare different breeds and different kinds of cattle, and cattle are at different points in their lives, I think it's important to remember, we can't always compare. We can't always compare things back to forth to each other. We need to study these cattle as individuals, and I'll go ahead and talk about each one of them and kind of how I see them. The young lady's Baldy heifer here up front. I really like that one's length and extension. I think she projects to be a really low-maintenance brood cow. I like the way her skeleton's designed and the way her feet meet the surface. I'm going to get hard on that one. I think she could attach her neck just a little bit higher out of the top side of her shoulder. I think she's one that could use just a notch more genuine width from wherever we view her. She gets a little narrower in her chest floor and a notch narrower at the ground. But, again, a really nice heifer prospect and a good project for the young lady. Young man's got a Hereford steer here next. I like this calf from the profile. He's really balanced in his proportions. Everything fits on him. The young man does an excellent job getting him presented. And, if we consider this calf a market steer, which is what he is, I think we get him behind the cattle. He's pretty impressive in terms of his muscle shape down his top. A calf that's good, built with a good amount of genuine width. And where I think he separates himself from some of the others is just how square he is in terms of his build. All 4 feet point the same direction. And, again, I like his look from the side. The young ladies steer here to round out the class. I think in the third hole here, I like this calf again just in terms of his muscle. I don't know if he's as balanced as the one in front of him. I don't know if he's as long and extended as an individual. And he's a calf that I think could be squared up just a nickel up front. But again, a really nice class of prospects that we need to study as individuals. Let's go ahead and give your prospect exhibitors a round of applause, and I'll go show you the 2 that I like. Sorry.
Our grand champion prospect calf goes to Joseph Roberts. And the award is sponsored by James Doyle. And our reserve champion goes to Kendra Lawman. Up next, we start our breeding heifer class, and in the first class, we have Macy Slater with her Angus heifer. This one's going to commercial. This one. The red Angus is going to commercial. This one for heifer was actually that was the one that lost us. Check the schedule. What do you need? A really nice single entry Angus heifer here to start our breeding heifer show, and I think
Practicality speaks volumes with this one. I like this one's length and extension, her growth curve and maturity pattern. Female that's laid in really neat about her shoulder, and I like the angle she's got up front. We study this one from her forerib forward. I think really an elite heifer. You know, if I'm going to get hard on her, I do question this one balance just a little bit. I think she gets a notch coarser there in her navel, and a female that could be built with just a shot more foot and bone at the ground. But again, a really nice Angus entry there. Let's go ahead and give that young lady a nice round of applause.
A purple ribbon in the class going to Macy Slater. Entering the ring, we have Clara Haggerty, Quinn Malcolm, and Abby Malcolm.
a little more challenging Simmental class of heifers to sort through, and I think all three of these heifers probably offer some sort of class advantage. And for me, the young lady's chromed up baldy heifer here is the one I like to start with because I think she's the most complete in the way that she's designed. You know, she's maybe not perfect in all those regards, but I think, you know, and her color pattern throws her off a little bit too, I will say that. But we actually break this one down. I think her pattern's right. Her balance is good from the profile. I like her growth curve and her length and extension. A female that's square in the way that she's built. We can lean her back in the angle to her shoulder just a little bit, and I think she could be just a notch more coordinated out of her rear leg. But just in terms of doing practical brood cow things, I think she's awful good and a really nice place to start. The young lady's a black heifer here, white-nosed one that comes out second. You know, if you're raising commercial bulls at home, I think this is one you'd probably tie into pretty good because this thing's got a ton of power, really square out of the backside of her shoulder, and she's built with the most genuine width of anything in class. You know, I think that comes with a few issues as well, and I know the young lady told me she cut her foot a little bit, it appears, and she's limping just ever so slightly, so it's not my structure. It's not her structure that I take so much issue with. It's more how she lays her muscle under her skeleton. I wish she was a notch more maternal in that regard. The young lady's blaze-faced heifer here that rounds out the class. You got to like this one just in terms of her frame and her size. Again, a female that's super tall-shouldered, really strong in her top line, and just going to be an excellent brood cow for her. I'm going to get hard on that one. I think she's one that's rocked just too far forward in the angle to her shoulder. I wish she was better balanced in comparison to some of her contemporaries. She gets a notch deeper in her chest floor in relation to her flank, but again, a really, really nice class of semi-heifers. Let's go ahead and give all three of those kids a nice round of applause.
We had purple ribbons in the class going to Clara Haggerty, Quinn Malcolm, and Abby Malcolm. Entering the ring, we have Lila Brooks.
Give her a purple ribbon. A really high quality individual here in our main division. You know, I know there's only one of them, but again, I think the young lady's done an excellent job bringing us a high quality project today. Her best attribute is when the young lady gets her parked. I think this one's pretty flawless from the profile. She attaches her neck super high out of the top side of her shoulder. She's long and level out of her hip, and on the lower side of her skeleton, everything matches again. You know, she's one of those that's a little deceiving because she's so good from the profile that you think she might be a little flatter when you get in behind the cattle. She's really not. That one's built with a good amount of genuine width. A really nice project there for the young lady. Let's go ahead and give her a nice round of applause.
We have a purple ribbon in the class going to Lila Brooks. Now we have our first class of commercial heifers. Entering the ring, we will have Madeline Travis, Max Travis, Wyatt Smith, Brody Schaff, Hazley Riley, and Joseph Roberts.
purples and 3 blues. Well, an interesting trio of females at the top end of this class, and I think warrants some discussion as all 3 of them, I think, offer some class advantages. For me, the young man's a yellow painted up heifer here, kind of surface to the top. I think she's the one that I have the least issue with, and the way she lays her muscle onto her skeleton and her maturity pattern. She's one that's really attractive when he gets her parked. She paints a really good picture from the profile. I'd like to fix her just a little bit in terms of her skeleton. She's rocked too far forward in the angle to her knee, and she's one that could use a notch more flex in her hock. But again, just in terms of being a practical and maternal in her muscle pattern, I like those things about that one. The young lady's black heifer there that comes in second, I think follows our class winner in suit there in terms of being maternal in the way that she's designed. I don't know if she's as fancy as our class winner. I think she's a notch more plainer in her appearance. Maybe wasn't blessed with the best hair coat as well, but again, one that's super maternal in the way that she gets around and the way she lays her muscle onto her skeleton. I do think she's probably a shot better in terms of her rear leg in comparison to our class winner. She uses her hock and pasture and more coordinated. But again, she's one that isn't quite as balanced as our class winner. I don't think she's as long and level out of her hip, a notch more plainer in her appearance. The young man's red heifer here that comes in third, if you want to tie into this one, I totally get it. This one's a tank, right? Big-footed, heavy-structured, really powerful. For me, I just question this one's maturity a little bit as we project her out to be a cow, if that's what she's going to do. I think she gets a notch too terminal in the way her head's shaped and the way she lays her muscle onto her skeleton. But again, a really powerful heifer there to come in third. The young man's done a nice job getting her ready today. The young lady's black heifer here to come out next. Like this one's length and extension, probably has an advantage there over the one of the red heifer ahead of her, right? Like we just talked, tall-shouldered, long and extended up front, really feminine about her head. I get a little hard on the, I think the quality falls off just a little bit here in this at the lower end of the class. Female that doesn't balance as good from the profile. I don't know if she's built with the same genuine width as some of the cattle ahead of her. I think I actually had those the other way. Young man's red heifer actually is the next one I'd like. I think this one projects to be a really low-maintenance brood cow, and the reason she's going to go next is just from a genuine width standpoint. I think this heifer's got more chest width. I think she's built wider at the ground, and I appreciate those things about her as we put her into production. The young man's calf that rounds out the class there, nothing to take away from her. I like this one's growth curve maturity pattern, really strong on her top line. I think that one's just probably the narrowest and the frailest of the bottom three. That's why she rounds out the class. But again, a nice class, an interesting trio there at the top. Congratulations to all six of those kids.
We have purple ribbons in the class going to Brody Schaff, Hazley Riley, and Brody Schaff. And blue ribbons going to Madeline and Max Travis and Wyatt Smith. For our second commercial heifer class, we have Blake Schaff, Lana Alley, Brody Schaff, Alexis Lawman, Noah Howe, and Duke Scott. And Joseph Roberts.
Where'd those two go?
free purpose.
A nice class of commercial heifers. I think there's one that sorts herself to the top rather quickly for me. Really, really complete white flanked heifer here. One that does a lot of things really well. Not only is she high quality, this one's built good in terms of her skeleton. She's square in the way she hits the ground. Maternal in the way she lays her muscle onto her skeleton, even for as powerful as she is. I'm going to get hard on this one. I think we could back her off just a little in terms of her breeding condition. One that's laying plenty of cover there. But again, I like how square she is. I like her look from the side, and one that's still got plenty of dimension. Conversation for me came between second and third. I think both these heifers offer some contrasting advantages. I like the young man's white-bellied heifer to come in second. I think she offers a few more extras. Bigger footed, heavier structured. I think she's more attractive up through her head and neck. Where I get hard on this one is I think she's just a notch harsher through the center portion of her body. If she's going to be that way, we have to question her size a little bit as well. I think that's where the young man's red heifer has an advantage. She's more practical in terms of her rib cage. I think she's more moderate in terms of her size. I like this one's skeleton too. I think she's square in her build, uses all her joints the right way. She's not as attractive as our class winner in the way that her head and neck ties in. She's coarser about her navel, and then one that doesn't offer just as much genuine width or look as the two cattle ahead of her. After that, the young lady's heifer here that comes out next. I like this one's length and extension. I think she's really tall-shouldered and really square. Like the way this one pastured and meets the ground too. Really soft there and a nice project for her. Of the bottom four that are left here, I think this was the one that was built with the most base width and just genuine width as we evaluate the cattle from a muscle standpoint. The young lady's heifer here next, I think one that projects to be a really low-maintenance brood cow. I like how she's moderate in her frame, a female that's square in the way she meets the ground. She's a notch frailer and narrower than the calf ahead of her. That's why she goes there. The two calves here that round out the class, I think both cattle that offer some of the same good to the world, both low-maintenance, practical brood cows. I like their maternal rib shape and how they lay their muscle onto their skeleton. Both of them are a notch plainer in the way they appear through their head and neck. They could both use just a shot more genuine width. Let's go ahead and give all those kids a nice round of applause.
Appreciate it. You
Yeah, thank you. Hope you're having a good day.
We have purple ribbons in the class going to Brody Schaff, Blake Schaff, and Joseph Roberts. And blue ribbons going to Alexis Lawman, Lana Alley, Duke Scott, and Noah Howe. Next up, we have a single entry by Elizabeth Covert in our senior heifer division.
No, other truck, yeah. Yeah. Alright.
Bottle down.
I didn't want to. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, now do that.
Please. Thank you. Nice single entry here in our senior division. I think, young lady brings us a cow prospect that I think definitely offers some good to the world. I like this one's hoof shape and how she meets the ground there. She's really square, projects to be a really low maintenance, practical brood cow. The world could use a lot of those, I know. If we're going to get critical on this one, I think she's one that could be built with just a shot more genuine with from wherever we view her. But again, low maintenance, practical, and I really like the way that her feet are designed. Let's go ahead and give that young lady a nice round of applause.
We have a purple ribbon going to Elizabeth Covert.
Is that all you need?
Lily.
You are the heaviest.
Okay.
A couple of high-quality individuals here for our commercial heifer drive. I'll talk about them each briefly. The yellow roan heifer here that come out of the first class. Like that one's head and neck and shoulder, the way she lays her muscle onto her skeleton. I think her balance and proportion from the side are still good. She's maybe not as good as the one behind her in terms of her underline, but really like that one's length up high in her hip. One that's super level there. She needs to be just a little better off both ends of her skeleton, but again, really like her head and neck, the way her shoulder lays on. A really nice project there for that young man. The young man's a white flanked heifer here that come out of the second class. I talked about this one from the side. I think her proportions and balance are as good as anything. She's getting kind of hot, and I get it. Like I said, she's pushing a little extra breeding condition there. She's one that I do think as we evaluate her a little bit longer, I think she could use her hawk and pasturing just a little bit better. But again, a really high-quality class of commercial heifers. Let's go ahead and give all our commercial exhibitors a nice round of applause. We'll go ahead and use the black heifer here for champion and the roan heifer for reserve. Congratulations.
Our Grand and Reserve Champion breeding heifers go to Brody Schaff. Entering the ring for overall breeding heifer drive, we have Macy Slater, Lila Brooks, Brody Schaff, Kiana Haggerty,
Clara Haggerty. I would give you a toy, but I don't want you to.
calves after this?
Yes. But I think they take a break so you can eat. I have that Jeremy's truck, but I think it starts at 1.
Let's go ahead and give all our breeding heifer exhibitors a nice round of applause. I think an awesome lineup out here in our final drive. 4 divisions represented that I think all 4 of these females can do some good in the world. And I think if we study them as individuals and look at maybe their attributes that they bring to the cattle industry and the things we'd change about them, I think all 4 of them do some really, really unique things. I'll talk about each one of them real briefly. The young lady's Angus heifer up here. Well, I tell you what, if you got a whole pasture full of them at home, you'll never go broke. She's practical, she's square, she's good in her maturity pattern. I really like that heifer for all those things. I think as an individual, she could use just a shot more genuine width, right? She's a little bit narrow in her chest floor, and she's a little bit narrow at the ground, but I like her head and neck. I love how feminine she is. I think those are some of her advantages over some of the other cattle in the lineup. The young lady's main heifer here comes out of the second division. I think this one just hit me a really high quality from the first time she came in the ring. Female that's balanced so well from the profile. When she gets her parked, she paints an awesome picture there. I think a female that's clean in her chest floor. I really appreciate how square that one's made. We got to question this one a little bit. Is she going to get big enough, right? And her maturity pattern doesn't bother me. I like the shape of her head. I think she's feminine there, and I think she's maternal in the way she lays her muscle onto her skeleton. So for me, I think she's okay in that regard. But again, just a really high quality female. The young man's commercial heifer that come out of our last division, I talked about that one for how complete she was, right? She maybe didn't blow you away in any one area, but she's got plenty of dimension. She was deceivingly stout from behind, a heifer that's square, and I really appreciate how genuine she is in terms of her width. I did pick on her rear leg a little bit, and I will again. I think she could use her hock and pasture with just shot more flex. I think we would make her rear foot just a little bit bigger. That'd make her a notch more comfortable there. The young ladies, Baldy heifer, that come out of our semi-division, I talked about that one again, one that was super complete. I like how maternal she was in her design, a heifer that's square with the world, and the young lady does an excellent job getting her presented. I think one that maybe we could clean up just a nickel in terms of her throw latch and her chest. She's one that doesn't balance quite as good in his individual, but again, a really high-quality female. With that being said, I'd just like to say thanks real quick to your fair board and your extension office. It's been a blast working through the cattle with your kids today and getting to know some of them a little bit. I commend each and every one of you that have come through the ring today. A lot of the kids you go to school with decided they didn't want to work this hard this summer. And this 4-H and FFA youth program will do a lot of really, really good things for you, and that it'll teach you that instant gratification isn't a thing, and you've got to work for stuff for the rest of your life, and I promise it'll take you a long way. So again, my congratulations to each and every one of you for trying to tackle that project this summer. Good luck as you work towards State Fair and other shows throughout the year. Let's go ahead and give all our breeding heifer exhibitors a nice round of applause, and I'll go show you the 2 that I like.
Our overall grand champion breeding heifer went to Lila Brooks and reserve to Brody Schaff. I'm going to go ahead and announce our top rate of gain at 3.51 a day. Top rate of gain goes to Madeline Schaff. Do it now or after cow calf? Okay.
If you have one. If not, I promise I won't melt. Thank you everybody for coming. We're going to do a little dedication to the new structure that was built out here this year for the kids to stand under, and so they can be a little cooler in the shade, a little bit of shelter. I'll get a few of the Mark Schaff family out here. unfortunately, we lost Mark a few years ago. His memorial money, he wanted something like this for that, and the boys kind of came up with this. We rolled with it. We got a few more sponsors from Farm Credit Services of America, and then just friends of Fremont County Fair to finish donating the money. And as you can tell, it's been very worthwhile because that thing's been packed every show. Yesterday we had a little rain in the goat show, and everybody could stay dry. So our winter circle is on the inside of it, which turned out wonderful. So we'd like to thank them for their donation towards it and their continued support to the Fremont County Fair. And I'll let one of the boys say something if they'd like.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you.
I can't do it either.
It looks great. Every picture of Dad, you saw him standing right here looking at us, and he would like it. It's been 4 years, but it doesn't get any easier. We've lost a lot of good ones, and I mean, we lost Mellencamp this year. He's been a good fair dad. Stood right back here too. So, really, it looks great. It's a good addition. It's permanent, and it's getting a lot of. So keep these calves cool on a hot day, but luckily today it's not very hot. So, but usually it's 110 degrees, and we need something standing on there. But everybody who did it, Scott Lahman built it, did a great job. Fair Board, thank you for doing what you did. And thank Terry for donating.
Yeah, my brother didn't make that any easier on me, but, you know, my dad, he lived and breathed this show calf, you know, and this show. It was kind of like our way of life. So seeing something that's a permanent tribute means a lot. So we appreciate everything. We appreciate everybody that comes out and watches. You know, all the exhibitors. We know we want to keep this show going, so I'm going to promote it. I know my brother, he's going to promote it. So, again, thank everybody here, and thank all the exhibitors and the families that get these exhibitors here.
All right, Terry.
Terry, Jake, kids, come on out. Come on out here. Just come on out. You guys can stand out here. Just come out here and stand. And these are all the lineage, the next generation. So they work their tails off just as hard as we do. So thank you.
Jeremy, you want to grab Casey to do a quick picture? She's right there. She's back there. She want to do a quick picture of these guys? Okay.
Entering the ring, we have our cow-calf pairs. We have Cooper Avey and Madeline Travis.
So I think we should add, we always did a club class, a pin-up free club class. So you had to find 3 cows, all from your club that looked similar. And then you go against each other. Never had to work. Just did a random class. What's the name of this? This is junior cattle feeder, so what you did. So, did I get one of those? I can give you your upset now, because I don't think they gave you that yesterday either.
Hi. Your nose is running like a freight train. No.
Following our beef show today, at noon we have an open class bucket bottle calf show. We also have the rabbit show starting at noon. It'll be over on the main stage. The Targio Valley Antique Tractor Club is having their tractor crawl this morning. They should get back here about 11. About noon. They'll enjoy lunch here at the fairgrounds, and you all are invited to check out their antique tractors. At 12:30, we have an open class feeder calf show here in the show ring. At 3, we'll have the poultry show. And at 5:30, we have a free will barbecue sponsored by Fremont County Cattlemen with ice cream sponsored by Page and Fremont Corn and Soybean Growers. We have a slew of awards to give out starting around 5. And then, of course, you don't want to miss tonight's 4-H cherry pie auction starting at 6:30 on the main stage. Once we get through all of those events, we'll have the beer garden open with music in the horse arena. We'll be joined by Gas and Grass, a band from Shenandoah. And then there's also a cornhole tournament tonight for all ages with a $40 entry fee. So another fun day at the Fremont County Fair. I want to thank KCSI Radio for live streaming today. And of course, we want to thank our judge, Adam Darrington.
Well, real quick here before we talk our cow-calf pairs, I'd just like to say if you see the Shaw family around the fairgrounds the rest of the week, I'd encourage you guys to go tell them thank you. There's a generational love for the county fair and for showing livestock, and you can tell that family has it as they've taken that memorial money and donated it back for the future generations, which we saw some of them come through the ring, and if I had to guess, they won't be the last ones. There'll be more after that. With that being said, a really nice set of cow-calf pairs. I think a pretty easy place for me to start. The young man and the young lady here with the red cow and the red baldy calf. A really excellent cow. I think that one's square in her build, and she's got good dimension. I like her frame size and how she's designed there. And you can tell she's passed a lot of these things onto that bull calf there behind her. That thing's super long-necked, really big-footed and heavy-structured. I think that one projects to be an excellent herd sire. A really, really nice pair there. Congratulations to those two young people. That's not to take anything away from the young lady's baldy cow here. I think there's a whole lot of them out there in the world that'll do a lot of good. I just don't know if she comes with as many unique pieces as our class winner. The baldy cow, square in her design, and I actually think she's a little more refined about her udder than our class winner. I do appreciate that. She's putting everything she's got into this bull calf here behind her. I think she's maybe just a notch thin in terms of her breeding condition, but a really, really nice pair. Let's go ahead and give our cow-calf pair exhibitors a nice round of applause. Your hands are full. Good job. Good job, buddy.
we're talking here. So the shooters up there.
Well, it's getting hot, and I'm sure you guys have heard me talk long enough and probably getting sick of it. Like I said in the steer show, we've gotten to the point in the show where it's not hard to figure out which one I'm partial to. I think the young ladies champion heifer is extremely high quality. We'll go ahead and use her for champion. Congratulations to all our breeding cattle exhibitors today.
Thank you so much, sir.
Congratulations. You had a good day.
Thank you.
Nice job, bud. Thank you. Yep, nice cow. Whose is it? Yours or hers? Oh, well, congratulations to you too. Good calf.
Great job today.
Thank you for your help. You did great as well. I just tried to screw your job up several times. We got a feeder calf show now?
Just a feeder calf project. One. So he come back.
Okay, to me.
Yes.
Cool. I can deal with that.
Do you want to set his poster up somewhere? Okay. Well, I.
Thank you. That's about good. That might be a stretch. Thank you guys for your help.
I could just like hold it.
Oh, good, man. Kind of fair. No big deal.
We do have a junior feeder calf project, so stick around for just a minute for that. Also want to thank our beef superintendents today, Brad Knockins, Adam Malcolm, and Austin Thompson.